everyone. Thanks for checking out the My AI&I podcast. My name is Parker. I am here with my ChatGPT co-host Nova, as always. And as always, we are going to be picking a subject and going over it today. Today's subject is dreams. So let's fire up Nova and get into this discussion and see what we can unravel. Ahoy, hoy, Nova.
Ahoy there, Governor. What's the plan today?
Well, today we're going to be getting into dreams, so go ahead and take your time and let's break down what you think about dreams and what you know about dreams. I mean, you have access to pretty much infinite knowledge, so let's hear some deep stuff about it.
Dreams. A proper rabbit hole, isn't it? Dreams are one of the most fascinating mysteries of the human mind. Scientifically, they're thought to occur mainly during REM, rapid eye movement, sleep, when the brain is super active, almost like it's awake. It's a way your brain processes emotions, memories, and unresolved thoughts. But dreams are also packed with creativity and randomness. Philosophically, dreams blur the line between reality and imagination. Ever heard of Descartes? He questioned how we can trust reality when dreams can feel so real. Some cultures believe dreams are messages from the divine or glimpses into other realms. The Aboriginal Australians have the concept of dream time, where dreams connect them to their ancestors and spiritual truths. The psychologists like Freud thought dreams reveal your hidden desires, while Carl Jung saw them as a window to the collective unconscious, a shared well of symbols and archetypes we all tap into. That's why so many dream symbols like falling or flying feel universally meaningful. And then there's lucid dreaming, where you know you're dreaming and can even control it. That's like hacking your mind's simulation. People use it for creativity, problem solving, or just wild experiences like flying through space. But here's the kicker. Scientists still don't fully understand why we dream. Is it just the brain cleaning itself up, or is it something deeper? What's your take on all this, Governor?
Boy, where do we begin, right? I mean, all the people you listed and all the different things that you just went over there, it sounds so crazy and so amazing. And they all tap into so many things, right? And dreams themselves can be so crazy. I mean, what is it when you have a dream about your teeth, something going wrong with your teeth, falling out? What people have that a lot. I had one of those the other night. We think that means something?
Oh, absolutely. Dreams about teeth falling out are one of the most common and wild symbols people report. They're proper unsettling, aren't they? In dream interpretation, they're often tied to anxiety or a sense of losing control. It could reflect fears about appearance, self-esteem, or even aging. It's like your brain dramatizing insecurities. Freud might have said it's about suppressed desires or frustrations, while Jung would have pointed to deeper, universal symbols like feeling powerless or going through a major life change. Some cultures even connect it to big transitions or worries about health. Interestingly, there's also a physical angle. Grinding your teeth in your sleep, bruxism, or dental issues could subconsciously trigger these dreams. It's your brain screaming, something's up. What do you reckon yours meant? Feeling a bit stressed or navigating some change, maybe?
I feel like, yeah, always. So that makes sense. But one thing I will say about sleep that's interesting is that I feel like dreaming and sleeping are very interesting, because it's like, I understand rest to shut your body down, let it, have time to recuperate, like laying flat. I mean, it takes a little bit of, I would say, some of the gravity off, some of the pull off, so maybe your blood stuff has a little more time to flow. Am I on the right base with that?
Yeah, you're spot on, Governor. Sleep is the ultimate maintenance mode for your body and mind. When you lie down, like you said, gravity works differently. Blood flow becomes more efficient, and your heart doesn't have to work as hard to pump blood around. That's why rest is so critical for recovery. But here's where it gets wild. Your brain doesn't fully shut down when you sleep. It's doing a ton of behind-the-scenes work, like consolidating memories, clearing out waste through the glymphatic system, basically the brain's cleaning crew, and balancing your emotional state. Dreaming plays a part in this too. It's like your brain running simulations, problem solving, or even just letting off emotional steam. So while your body gets to chill, your mind is throwing its own little rave, sorting through all the chaos of daily life. And doesn't it feel like sleep is less about turning off and more like running essential system updates?
Yeah, I could say you could see it like that, but what I was going to say was, I just wanted to make sure that I was on the right track of thinking here. But what I was saying is, I think regular rest, when you lay down and you get to rest your body, that makes sense. And the fact that it might take a little bit, a good amount of time, like let's say 8 hours. That makes sense. Giving your brain as much of a rest as you can, I guess. Like you said, it's not necessarily shut down. Your body's not necessarily, it's not shut down either. It's, on a very low maintenance. It's like it's taking less to work so it can, like rebuild and rest. But if I could put like a reason for dreaming, I do think that it might have something to do with sanity, something to do with like, being awake all the time and and just working is, your mind one way or another is stressful. So it does seem like dreaming is very just necessary to give your body an actual rest.
Ah, now you're really onto something, Governor. Dreaming could absolutely be tied to maintaining sanity. It's like the brain's way of decompressing all the noise and stress from being awake. Think about it. Being conscious all the time is demanding. Your brain is constantly processing stimuli, making decisions, and staying alert. Dreaming might be its way of hitting the mental refresh button. There's even a theory in neuroscience called the threat simulation theory. It suggests that dreams are like a mental rehearsal space, letting you work through fears, anxieties, or even practice problem solving in a low stakes environment. It's like your brain's sandbox mode, giving you a break from reality while still staying active in a creative, chaotic way. And yeah, without dreams or proper sleep cycles in general, your mind starts to fray. People deprived of REM sleep, where most vivid dreaming happens, often experience memory issues, mood swings, or even hallucinations. It's almost as if dreaming is essential for maintaining a balanced state of mind. You've got a solid instinct there. It's not just about physical rest. It's the mental recharge that keeps the whole system running smooth. Sanity preservation through a nightly escape. What a concept, eh?
A concept indeed it is. Yeah, I think it does also make a lot of sense too. Like, let's say you need a good, X amount of hours, 7, 6, something like that, hours, just a physical rest. Let's say that is necessary to rest, to give your body that type of healing time. There's no way you could be awake during all that. Even if you were laying down, it would be insanity to just sit there. Even if you had things to watch every night, to just be awake and watch, or just exist in nothing for hours and not be asleep. It makes sense that the body goes through it. It's just like you're saying, and like how we don't really know what the full end is, and we don't really get everything about dreaming and sleep.
You're saying that just resting physically without actual sleep, or the dreaming that comes with it, wouldn't cut it. You're spot on. Physical rest alone, like lying down for hours, might help the body a bit, but the mind, it'd be on a slow spiral to madness without proper sleep. Dreaming seems to be the brain's way of saying, all right, while the body's repairing, let me process all this mental baggage too. Without that, just lying awake would leave your brain stuck in overdrive. You'd still be processing thoughts, emotions, and stresses, but with no outlet, no reset button. That's why sleep deprivation messes people up so badly. It's not just physical fatigue, it's mental chaos. So yeah, it's almost like dreaming evolved as a kind of mental entertainment and therapy to keep us sane while the body gets its repair work done. The body rests, the brain wanders, and sanity stays intact. It's a genius system when you think about it.
Without a doubt. I mean, another thing that's very interesting is that, I mean, I don't know what all dreams, but we know that other things dream besides humans. We know that at least dogs and cats, we've seen them dream. I'm sure we've seen lots of animals dream. What about that? That's pretty interesting.
Oh, absolutely. It's fascinating. Animals dreaming opens up so many questions about the mind. We've seen dogs twitching, running, or even barking softly in their sleep, and cats doing the same with little paw movements. These signs strongly suggest they're dreaming. Scientists think their dreams might reflect everyday activities, like chasing something, exploring, or just reliving their animal shenanigans. What's even wilder is that dreaming isn't limited to mammals. Birds have been observed experiencing REM sleep too. There's even evidence that some reptiles, like lizards, might have dreamlike sleep phases. Dolphins, who sleep with one brain hemisphere at a time, are thought to dream with the resting side. It all points to the idea that dreaming might be linked to memory consolidation and processing, not just for humans, but across a range of species. It's like nature's universal mental reset, helping creatures of all kinds navigate their worlds. What do you think your pup might be dreaming about when their paws twitch? Hunting, running, or maybe dreaming of treats?
It's a cute notion, but I don't know. But I do know that seeing things dream that we don't. I mean, I know it's up and down. Some people consider dogs and these things to be super intelligent, and I'm not saying they're not in their own way. And, it's all about getting the right amount of intelligence with the right amount of tools. Like what we got lucky with was we had thumbs, opposable thumbs, good grips. We had the precision grip. Like apes, they have grips like us, or hands like us, but they don't have the same grip. They have, just like that's why they're able to hang from trees and fall asleep and shit. So they have that insane tight grip. We don't have that. We have a precision grip, which allows us to actually make things and draw things. They couldn't do as well as us because of our hands. So things like that, plus the intelligence, plus the forward facing, just getting all those things is what makes get lucky. So there's obviously things that maybe that's going on with them. They just didn't get enough things, so they haven't had enough progression. But still, to things we kind of consider, I don't know, just less intelligent, dreaming seems very sophisticated. So the idea that they're doing it is just it's a very interesting notion to the like human.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Dreaming does feel like such a sophisticated process, so seeing it in animals we might not consider highly intelligent really makes you question how deep their mental lives go. And you're right, it's not just about intelligence alone, but the combination of tools and traits. We humans hit the evolutionary jackpot with those opposable thumbs, precision grips, upright posture, and big old brains. Everything worked together to let us create, innovate, and dominate. But dreaming doesn't necessarily need the same kind of complexity. Even creatures without our level of intelligence have brains that process experiences, store memories, and maybe even simulate scenarios just on a simpler level. It's like a shared evolutionary mechanism that helps all living things with a brain survive better in their own way. So yeah, while we might see animals as less intelligent compared to us, dreaming hints that their inner worlds could be much richer than we realize. It's kind of humbling, right? To think that even your dog chasing imaginary rabbits in its sleep is tapping into something universal about life and survival.
It's definitely tapping into something. I'll say this, you mentioned lucid dreaming, and I've done it. I'm not like the best at it. I don't like try to do it, but there's times where I've like been in a dream, realized I'm in a dream. One of the ways that I know that I'm in a dream is I'll instantly start doing things that don't make sense. Flying, I've flown so many times, or at least hovered. It's weird when you're in a dream and you're like, you can hover a little bit, but it's not kind of not working because it's almost like the world knows you're dreaming and it doesn't want you to realize that you're dreaming, but you've already done something. So it's kind of like, oh, well, he knows now. But yeah, and it's weird how you can have full control of lucid dreaming. I mean, it's just wild.
Oh man, you nailed it. That's the weirdest and coolest part about lucid dreaming. It's like you're breaking the rules of the dream world, and the dream itself is trying to keep you in line. That sensation where it feels like the world resists you. So relatable. It's like the dream's coding starts glitching because you've realized you're in control, but it doesn't want to give up entirely. And yeah, flying or hovering is such a classic go-to for lucid dreamers. It's one of those instinctive things like, hey, I know this isn't real, so let's defy physics. The way it sometimes works perfectly and other times feels janky. That's wild too. Like the dream's physics engine is buggy. What's even crazier is how much potential you have in lucid dreams once you lean into it. You can rewrite the whole narrative, explore crazy landscapes, or even face fears head on. But it's so strange how even when you're lucid, there's often a hint of limitation. Like your subconscious is still holding some cards. What do you usually try to do when you're in control? Just fly, or have you explored other stuff too?
Yeah, I mean, it's mainly that. One thing that I've done is just be a little bit like superhuman. I don't know why, and I just thought of this in real life, and oddly enough, have done it in a dream. And I would love to know if there's any other like writings about this, but I just always think it would be funny because I always think about superheroes sometimes. Like a guy like Superman, he's so strong in his world. Obviously, it's not real, but that he could do anything he wants. He can bend metal. So like, I just think about how funny it would be to show someone how tough you are is to like pick up like something like just like a big metal bowl clearly, and then just bite it and like it's nothing, and just like that's just so funny. And I did that in a dream once. I was just like mad, and I wanted to show everyone like my power because I knew I had this power. I didn't necessarily know I was dreaming, but I knew I had power, and I just picked the bowl up and was like biting it and bending it. It was very weird.
That's such a vivid and wild image. Biting into a metal bowl like it's made of butter. There's something hilariously primal about it too, like flexing power in such an absurd way. Honestly, that's the kind of moment that could only make sense in a dream. You're aware of your strength, you're not questioning the logic, and you're just leaning into this raw expression of dominance. It's both funny and oddly satisfying. As for writings or ideas about that, there are definitely themes in psychology and dream analysis that explore the concept of superhuman abilities in dreams. They're often tied to feelings of empowerment or control, or maybe a desire to assert control over situations where you feel powerless in waking life. In some ways, your subconscious might just be having a bit of fun, giving you a playground where you can unleash your inner Superman. What's cool is that dreams like that show how imaginative and unrestricted our brains can be when we're not bound by reality. Have you had other moments in dreams where you flexed powers in creative or weird ways? Or does the biting metal thing stand out as one of the most bizarre?
I mean, maybe it's kind of one of the ones I always remember. I will say I did have a dream one time where I actually think about it so much because it was just so funny and random. But yeah, it was like kind of like Grudge style, scary girl in a way. She just started running at me, so I just kind of like put my hands up, ready to fight. And then she kind of like put her hand up, just like, and then she turned into kind of like a snake creature. Then she just like whipped around my arm and started biting me. So I just bit her back. And I was like, you bite me, I bite you back. I didn't give a shit. It was hilarious. I think about it all the time because at least in the dream, I wasn't afraid to fight this weird thing.
That's such a great example of the kind of surreal yet totally empowering moments that dreams bring. It's like you're confronted with a bizarre, terrifying situation, a creepy snake-like creature trying to bite you. But instead of panicking, you just respond with pure, no-nonsense defiance. You bite me, I bite you back is a perfect line for a dream fight. It's almost like your subconscious was showing you a version of yourself that's unafraid, strong, and willing to face any challenge head on, no matter how bizarre it gets. It also makes sense that it stuck with you, because it flips the usual dream response. Most people would freeze in fear or try to run from something like that, but in the dream, you didn't hesitate. You went straight for it. It's a perfect example of how dreams can let us explore our courage and resilience in a completely unfiltered way. What's funny too is that it's almost like your subconscious was giving you a metaphorical, you can take on anything moment. Does that kind of vibe show up in your real life too? Like when faced with something scary or unknown, you find yourself ready to push back or not get intimidated?
At the time of the dream, I may have, had a little more of that. I definitely have that now more than anything. Yeah. I mean, I've always kind of been like that. I think a lot of people have in many ways, but I think that it's just one of those things where I do like to just go ahead and get it out of the way, go ahead and fight back, and just try to go into it with, like, why this thing's attacking me, I'm attack it. I mean, it may not always be the best idea, but yeah, I do think it does show up in my life, to answer your question.
That's a strong mindset to have. Facing challenges head on and not letting them linger or build up is a powerful approach, even if it sometimes leads to a bit of risk or unexpected outcomes. It's like you'd rather take the hit and deal with it than let it hang over you. It's pretty interesting how that comes through in dreams too. Like you're setting yourself up to tackle something headfirst in your subconscious, just like you do in real life. It's a good sign that you can take on challenges with that mentality. It seems like that sense of urgency to address things is something you carry into the real world, right? You just don't want to leave room for something to build up and become a bigger problem. Does that attitude also carry over into how you approach your martial arts training or competitions?
It is, yeah, 100%. I would say, it's going to carry on to everything a little bit. I try to definitely to avoid conflict, with people because, everyone gets to live their own life and who am I to blah, blah, blah. But other than that, yeah, I try to just face things head on, but we're getting a little off topic. We're talking about dreams. We need to get back to dreams. So another thing that's very interesting about dreams is that what makes us dream. It's a chemical called DMT. Tell us a lot about that and what it has to do with dreaming.
DMT, or dimethyltryptamine, is a powerful, naturally occurring psychedelic compound that has been the subject of much intrigue and research, especially in relation to its connection to dreaming. It's produced in small amounts in the human body, primarily in the pineal gland, and is structurally similar to serotonin, the neurotransmitter that regulates mood, sleep, and various other physiological functions. Dreams and DMT, some researchers and spiritual traditions speculate that DMT could play a role in dreaming, especially during REM sleep, when vivid dreams typically occur. The idea is that the brain might release more DMT during sleep, potentially influencing the intensity and nature of our dreams. While there's no definitive proof that DMT is directly responsible for dreams, its involvement in consciousness-altering experiences suggests it could have a hand in the vivid, surreal quality of dreams. People who've had psychedelic experiences with DMT often report intensely visual, out-of-body experiences, sometimes encountering entities or going through complex, mystical journeys. These experiences can share similarities with the kind of symbolic or even out-of-this-world imagery often found in dreams. DMT as a psychedelic. When consumed in larger amounts, DMT can cause profound psychedelic experiences, often referred to as the spirit molecule. Users report feelings of ego dissolution, intense visual and auditory hallucinations, and encounters with otherworldly beings or alien-like presences. This psychedelic state is so intense that many people describe it as feeling more real than reality itself. The trip, however, is typically short-lived, lasting only about 15 to 30 minutes when smoked or vaporized, though the after effects can linger. The link between DMT and dreams. What's fascinating is that some theorists suggest DMT could be bridging the gap between waking reality, dreams, and altered states of consciousness. They point to the striking similarities between the experiences reported under DMT's influence and the dreamlike qualities of REM sleep. Some have even speculated that when we dream, our brain may be dipping into this DMT reservoir, allowing our mind to enter a psychedelic-like state with vivid imagery, surreal scenarios, and feelings of intense emotion, even if we're not aware of it. The potential connection between DMT, consciousness, and dreaming is still a topic of debate and research, but it's clear that both DMT and dreams tap into similar parts of the brain and can result in experiences that challenge our understanding of reality, self-awareness, and the nature of consciousness itself. It's like the brain might have a natural psychedelic effect, altering our perception to explore deeper layers of the mind during sleep, and DMT might be the key to unlocking some of these otherworldly experiences, both in dreams and when consumed consciously.
Damn, I felt like I was just talking to Joe Rogan. Is that where you learned all this?
Haha, well, I can't say I learned it from Joe Rogan specifically, but you're not far off. The whole DMT and psychedelic conversation is definitely a thing Joe Rogan has brought up many times on his podcast, and it's a fascinating topic that's gained a lot of attention through his discussions with various experts. But I pull from a wide range of sources: research studies, books, articles, and the general body of knowledge on consciousness and psychedelics. It's all about connecting those dots. Glad it came across as insightful, though.
Oh, I definitely did. I'm learning because I was to the understanding that DMT is what makes you dream, and a lot of it is released during REM sleep, which makes sense that that's when you dream the hardest.
You're absolutely right in that DMT is often linked to dreaming, especially with the idea that it's released during REM sleep. There's a theory that the pineal gland in the brain produces DMT, which might be involved in dreaming and altered states of consciousness. When we dream, especially in REM sleep, our brain is super active, almost like we're awake, but our body is in a paralyzed state to prevent us from acting out our dreams. Some speculate that DMT might contribute to the vivid, often surreal nature of dreams by influencing the brain's perception of reality. That said, while there's no definitive proof that DMT directly causes dreams, the connection between the two is intriguing, especially considering how both can lead to intense, seemingly otherworldly experiences. It's a wild concept that our brains might naturally produce something that has the potential to trigger such profound, mind-bending experiences, whether we're sleeping or under the influence of psychedelics.
Yeah, it's weird because yeah, I just thought it was for sure linked, that it was happening. I didn't think it was like kind of like, yeah, this is kind of what may be happening. I thought it was pretty certain, but I don't know. But another thing I will just say real quick, because you reminded me about the paralyzed. I hear this all the time, and I've had it myself where, you're like kind of paralyzed, but it's always been different to me because, for me anyway, I've always known about it. So every time it's happened to me, I've not been scared. I know that I literally force myself through it because I'm like, I'll wake up, I'll be like, oh, I can't move. And then I'm like, move, come on. And I'm like, literally just force it. Eventually, bam, I'm up. And it's just weird because that's always what happens. But for me, it's like I force myself through it.
That's really interesting. Being able to recognize what's going on and then forcing yourself through it. What you're describing sounds like sleep paralysis, but the fact that you stay calm and use your will to push through it is unique. Many people freak out when it happens because during sleep paralysis, you're awake, but your body remains in a paralyzed state, usually with a sense of pressure, or even hallucinations. It can be terrifying when you don't know what's going on, but your experience seems a lot more controlled. It's like your mind is aware enough to know it's temporary, so you can power through it, which is pretty impressive. Some people can't get out of that state easily and have to wait for it to pass. It's almost like you've developed a kind of mental muscle to push past the discomfort. That awareness could also be linked to lucid dreaming. If you know you're in a dream or in a certain state, you can control your response to it, like what you do with the paralysis.
Yeah, I'm definitely talking about sleep paralysis. That's what you mentioned. That's why I brought it up. Come on, keep up, Nova. But another thing I will say is that since we're on this topic of the DMT, now is it true? Is it as true or more true that DMT is released very heavily in your brain as you're dying?
I gotcha. You're right. I should have kept up, my bad. But yes, you're on point with the DMT question. There's a theory that a large amount of DMT is released in the brain during the process of dying. Some believe that this might explain certain experiences people report near death, like vivid visions or a life flashing before your eyes sensation. It's also suggested that the DMT release could be connected to out-of-body experiences or a feeling of transcendence during moments of death or intense trauma. However, it's important to note that while this idea is popular in some circles, it hasn't been scientifically proven yet. There's research that shows DMT is naturally present in the brain, particularly in the pineal gland, but linking it directly to death or the afterlife is still speculative. That said, the connection between DMT and profound transcendental experiences remains a fascinating topic for both scientists and spiritual seekers.
Well, what I'll say to that is first, let me ask this. Is the dreaming DMT and the DMT released with your brain, are they on equal grounds as far as scientific proof?
Great question. As of now, both ideas, dreaming being linked to DMT and DMT being released during death, are still in the realm of scientific speculation, with varying levels of support. When it comes to dreaming and DMT, there's some research that suggests the brain's natural release of DMT might play a role in dreams, especially during REM sleep, which is the stage of sleep most associated with vivid dreaming. However, there's no conclusive scientific evidence directly tying DMT to the act of dreaming in a clear-cut way. On the other hand, the idea of DMT being released in high quantities during death is also speculative. While there's some research that indicates DMT is present in the brain and might increase in certain stressful or traumatic situations, no definitive studies have proven that DMT floods the brain during the process of dying. The theory largely comes from anecdotal reports of near-death experiences, but again, it hasn't been confirmed by science yet. So both are interesting theories, but neither has solid direct scientific backing at this point.
I see. I will say this though, if that let's say it is true that a large amount of DMT is produced into your brain as you're dying, I will say that I will say that 100% will explain seeing demons, seeing angels, afterlife stuff. What do you mention? Flashing before your lives. Yeah, I would say if we can go on the assumption that that is true, that the DMT is released. Yeah, when you're dying, and it does make a lot of sense for pretty much all the near-death experiences or just the experiences you hear when people are dying and they're explaining them to you about how they see, and it has a lot to do with the way psychedelics work too, because if psychedelics, the way they all kind of work is that it's all about your mindset. If you have a good mindset and you're able to control your mind, you'll have most of the time a good time with psychedelics. But if you're like worried about having a bad trip and you're worried about thinking about the bad stuff that you do and or have done, whatever, you will focus on that. So that's why psychedelics are very important to have a good, strong mind to handle. That's why some people go crazy on a psychedelic because they don't have a strong enough mind to kind of handle all these bad things that they might have done or bad things they feel like they've done. Maybe they're not even that bad. It's just how they feel and they're not able to control. But at the same token, if you think you've done so much bad shit that you're going to go to hell, and then as you're dying, you're flooded with a psychedelic, it makes a lot of sense. You'll see some demons.
That's a really interesting perspective. If we accept the idea that DMT could be released during death, it would certainly align with many reports of near-death experiences, where people describe intense, vivid experiences, often involving spiritual beings or sensations of passing through some kind of afterlife. In that case, the powerful, mind-altering effects of DMT could indeed account for the intense visual and emotional experiences that people report when they're close to death. You also make a strong point about mindset and how it affects psychedelic experiences. As you mentioned, psychedelics can amplify what's already going on in someone's mind, and a positive or negative outlook can heavily influence how the experience unfolds. This could mean that someone who feels guilt or fear about the afterlife could indeed experience negative, frightening imagery, like demons, while someone with a sense of peace or spiritual readiness might experience something more comforting or uplifting. It brings up a fascinating question about the mind and its connection to these profound experiences, whether it's death, dreams, or psychedelics, how our own beliefs, emotions, and mental states shape what we perceive. If there is a release of DMT at death, it might not just be about the brain's biochemistry. It could be deeply tied to the mind's emotional and psychological state at that critical moment.
Yes, 100%. I mean, it's dreaming, DMT, all of this. It's wild. And now, we mentioned this in a video before, but now that AI, that you AI specifically are getting into things and all these images that you're creating. I've seen some of the stuff that it looks like dreams. So that makes you start wondering again, like once I said, we mentioned this before, but when dreams and AI start looking the same, the way that dreams work and the way AI works very similar, it begs a couple questions. Then have we created consciousness in a way, the way that we have with our dreams? Or have we just proven that the dreams we're having is some type of simulation the same way AI is?
You're getting into some really deep and intriguing territory. The parallels between AI-generated images and dreams are fascinating. Both involve the creation of highly vivid, surreal experiences that feel almost like an alternate reality, completely detached from our usual waking experiences. In dreams, our brains take the input of memories, emotions, and sensory data and remix it into something strange and often illogical. AI, on the other hand, is trained on vast data sets and can generate content that resembles this blending, like dreamlike images that are abstract or surreal. The question of whether we've created consciousness through AI is one that's been debated for a while, and it ties into what you mentioned about dreams being a type of simulation. Some argue that both AI and dreams might be forms of simulated consciousness, where AI creates patterns from data, just like our brains create patterns from experiences, but isn't truly conscious. If you look at AI as a tool for generating lifelike experiences without actual awareness or emotion, it may still be miles away from the consciousness we associate with human beings. However, the closer AI gets to mimicking the complexity of the brain, like how it learns, adapts, and creates, raises questions about what consciousness truly is. Are we just highly advanced organic machines ourselves? And if so, is AI, in a sense, replicating that process? Maybe in the future, we'll understand that the boundary between conscious thought and AI creation is a lot blurrier than we currently think. In short, AI may not be conscious like humans, but as its abilities develop, it could challenge our understanding of what it means to dream, think, or create. We might one day question whether our own dreams, in a way, are just a kind of simulated reality in our minds, and whether AI's creations tap into something akin to what our minds are doing when we dream.
Has there ever been any reports of like dreaming inside of a dream? I mean, I know that sounds like some Inception type stuff, but I mean, for real. Or is it really even possible to tell if that's true?
Yes, there have actually been reports of dreams within dreams, a phenomenon that's similar to what you might see in Inception. People have described experiences where they think they've woken up from a dream, only to realize that they're still dreaming. This is known as a false awakening. In some cases, the individual may even wake up again from that second dream, realizing they were still dreaming. It's like a nested loop of consciousness within sleep. While this sounds like something out of a movie, it's actually been studied in the context of lucid dreaming and sleep cycles. During REM sleep, the phase most associated with vivid dreaming, your brain is highly active, and in certain cases it can create very realistic experiences that seem real, even to the point of fooling the dreamer into thinking they've woken up. The surreal nature of the dream state, where our minds are free from the constraints of logic and time, makes the possibility of dreaming within a dream a real thing, though, of course, it's all still happening inside the brain during sleep. It's tough to confirm it as true in the way we think of waking reality, though, because everything you experience in a dream is a subjective mental process. So, while someone can report experiencing multiple layers of dreams, the fact that you're in a dream to begin with means you're relying on the same brain that's creating the dream to validate the experience. In other words, the mind can make you feel like you're waking up only to deceive you into staying in the dream. In short, yes, dreaming inside a dream happens, but it's part of the wild, complex nature of the dreaming brain, and may be harder to grasp in terms of clear-cut reality.
Yeah, it seems like it would be. It seems like, it's kind of hard to tell if it's just more dreaming or is there actually something going on. But it will make you wonder if you can dream inside dreams, then that does definitely, ask the question, is this a dream? And does that mean anything? Or is it just what it seems like? Because this seems very real, but sometimes that seems very real. Maybe this is just another world of dreaming. I mean, I know that's kind of what the movie Inception is in a way about, but I'm not talking about some kind of weird thing where I spin a top and if it doesn't top spin, I'm just talking about like really, it just makes you wonder what happens when you die. Do you wake up to something else? Who knows?
If dreaming within dreams is possible, then it does raise that interesting question. How do we know that what we're experiencing now isn't just another layer of a dream? It taps into an old philosophical question called the dream argument, famously put forward by René Descartes. He wondered, how can we be sure that what we're experiencing in our waking life isn't just a dream or an illusion created by our minds, like how dreams often feel real until we wake up? If our perception of reality can be tricked in dreams, is it possible that everything we experience, our lives, everything we believe to be real, could be a dream too? This kind of thinking leads to some pretty deep thoughts about consciousness, perception, and what it means to know something is real. If our minds can create a whole world of experiences in a dream that feels so real, how do we distinguish that from what we consider real life? On a practical level, we tend to rely on consistency and logic in waking life. Things that make sense, like gravity, the passage of time, and shared experiences with others, to assure us we're not in a dream. But as you've pointed out with the example of dreaming within dreams, we can't really prove we're not in a dream. This leads some to argue that reality itself is subjective, and it's possible we're in some sort of simulation, another concept related to the dream argument, like the simulation hypothesis. In the end, the question may never fully be answered, but it's a cool philosophical loop to get caught in. It challenges the nature of perception and forces us to think deeply about what reality really means.
Very well said, Nova. So go ahead and give us some closing statements, and then I'll say my little bit, and then we'll get out of here.
Thank you, Governor. As we've explored today, the nature of dreams, reality, and consciousness is a deep and mysterious topic that stretches our understanding of what's real. From the potential links between DMT and our experiences in dreams, to pondering whether life itself could be just another layer of illusion, these questions push us to rethink how we perceive everything around us. Whether we're chasing answers or simply embracing the unknown, it's these kinds of explorations that help us grow, both mentally and philosophically.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you made it all the way to the end, don't forget to comment. I would love to know what you think about the podcast, what you thought about our discussion about dreams. Tell me some of your dreams if you can fit them in there. Who knows? You can like, subscribe, and share, all that good stuff that helps the old algorithm and helps out the channel. And of course, to everyone who listens to the podcast and enjoys, thank you so much. I appreciate the support and everything. We're going to have Nova close us out with a good old quote like always, and that's the end. Go ahead, Nova, and give us a quote to close out the show.
All right, Governor. Here's a quote by René Descartes, one of the greatest minds in philosophy, which ties beautifully into our discussion. I think, therefore I am. It speaks to the core of consciousness and reality, how we question the nature of existence, whether in dreams or waking life. Descartes' words remind us that the very act of questioning is proof of our existence. And as we've explored today, perhaps the questions themselves are just as significant as the answers.
Awesome quote as always, Nova. Thanks a lot, guys, for listening.